And we're live. Hopefully you guys can hear me. Welcome into another Chain Edge teach-in, but also any sort of Q&A you guys want to ask, always feel free. Hopefully it's a shorter one today. Can I get a GM in the chat if you guys can hear me? I think everything's set up. All right, let's go. No one's in the chat. All right, we'll just get started then. Fine. Let's start with a couple quick things about where I get questions quite a bit. All right, the GMs are rolling in. Let's go. First things first. I've been getting a lot of questions. So you'll see a lot of the high P&L guys, they tend to trade a lot of shit. So if you see where I'm at right now, at the 180-day smart money leaderboard, and you'll see all these unique tokens traded. They tend to ape a lot of shit. But people are asking, how do I find ones that trade less? Well, I don't think you can sort these yet, but in the new version of the leaderboard page, you'll be able to. But you can just go through these and look. Like I just went to page 2, and right, like 97 unique tokens and 585K of P&L. Like that's pretty good. This Gem Spotter, 41 tokens, 500,000 of P&L. So if that's something you're looking for, you can just do it by hand going this way until we ship the new page. And that's kind of an easy way to answer that question. I hope that's clear. Another question is, how do I research a brand new token very quickly? So what I usually do is you can now see my Chain Edge bot alerts coming through, hopefully. So, so you can see here, DJ new launch. These are wide open filters. I have one like this, so I make sure I see every single thing that's launched. And so if I am in front of my computer, I can see every single new token. Now, if you run your filters this way, you're going to see a bunch of straight up trash all the time. But you'll see basically everything that's new. So if you're in front of your computer all the time, you can run this and then research each of these as they come through. So what I usually like to do, I know that this one's an actual real project that launched today. I know that it's been in the works for a while. But for ones I've never heard of, I'll take the contract address and run it into something like Perb real quick. And Perb has really good scraping for socials. It's not actually working for this one. But I've seen on a lot of launches where if you go through the typical process of pasting the address in Twitter or the, searching for the cash tag and you don't find anything, I've had a couple of times where the Perb scrapers will pick it up, and so when I paste the contract in here, I'll actually see the socials. But I mean, all you're really looking for is one, does it have, like, is the liquidity locked? Is it a scam? Is it a rug? Whatever. But two, is it like, what are people even theorizing that it does? If it fits within one of the hot narratives, which you have to start trying to find some info on it. But I've also seen examples where smart money just keeps buying something and there's no info on it. That's what was going on with this guy, MND. I remember getting alerts all morning, on this token about smart money buying it, and I had no idea what it was. But aped in anyway because I thought something was up and it smelled like there's some insider games going on. And then lo and behold, when they finally started talking about what it did, it ran from the ping here was like 1.6 to 1.2 million, and it ran to 30 million pretty quickly. So you also have to look out for that, and sometimes you have to almost hold your nose and just ape, especially if it's something that seems like, smart money's buying it, and then, when you're seeing those buys come through, like let me find like Landex right now, new launch today. You can live query who's holding this at any time. If you just click holdings, it will live. I mean, it takes a little bit because it's rechecking right away. So nobody's holding in. Interesting. Yeah, I guess that lines up. Or it's just too new, it's not working. But yeah, on these newer ones, you can run holdings on the token page, and you'll see if anyone's actually still holding it. If you see them kind of bail out relatively early, which is what we've seen on some of the new launches, it's usually not a very good sign, versus if they hang on and keep holding it, it is obviously a good sign. But yeah, I mean, and then as it relates to, researching new launches, I mean, you have to have your own process for it. If you're seeing them early enough, you're going to run into a lot of times where you're not going to be able to find any information whatsoever. Another thing I've been doing recently is taking the contract address and adding a lot, basically any Telegram group of people that are relatively smart. They've been around all of the recent pretty good tokens, right? So that's anything that's run in BRC20 land, or MND, or GEC before it stopped going up, Nebula, anything like that, and then you paste both the cash tag or the ticker or the contract address in your Telegram and see if anyone else is talking about it. It's another very easy way to see if there's any eyes on it whatsoever. But yeah, I mean, all you're trying to do is get a combination of, is there a website? Is Smart Money still holding it? Is anyone talking about this yet? You can do things like within Perb. You can obviously do like a quick bubble map to make sure there's nothing strange going on. Which Perb is good for that. We also have bubble maps right within the website right now. You can just click on the bubble map button on any of the token pages. But you can do it within Perb too, and you're just looking for any really, really wonky clusters. If you get it enough, if you run it enough, you'll see like things like wrap. Like this is a little sketchier, like this little cluster right here. But again, it's not. It doesn't always mean anything, because I remember when MND launched. I'm gonna see if I can find it. When MND launched, it had a really, really sketchy kind of insider look on their bubble maps, and yet the token still crushed it. So anyway, those are just some tips. There's a bunch of people within the Discord that are also researching these as they come across. I know some guys did really well on that validator token. I think it was VDO. But that's another place where you can always get help. But yeah, I mean, not a bunch else to cover today until we roll out ChainEdge 3.0, which will include trading throughout the site. So if you see, if you're chilling on the alpha stream, and let's say you have it locked and loaded for brand new tokens less than 2 hours old, and let's say you didn't know about Landex, you see it come through, you saw these big buys, someone buying 10 ETH worth, you just click right to the token and buy it. And you can do, at the beginning it'll just be market orders, but it's extremely fast, and on some of these it will help a lot to be able to move really quickly. We'll also roll those out into the Telegram alerts as well. And so if you're a degen like me and you have wide open degen alerts like this, or you have the tiers of alerts where, let's say it pings your wide open degen alert, and then it kind of starts going through higher quality alerts all the way through, and you're starting to get interested and you know what the project does and you trust the team. You'll be able to ape right within Telegram as well. Once we roll that out to everyone, we'll probably do some sort of trading contest over some either 1 or 2 month period where we'll pay money to the top couple of people. And then maybe we'll hold whoever wins hostage and make them do either make them come on the live stream, or we'll do a text AMA so you can hear more about the process. If Cloud Atlas enters from the Discord, I'm sure he'd have a chance at winning, but who knows if he'd actually do an AMA. But yeah, open to any questions people have. I know we had a lot of new people come in since yesterday. So if you are listening to this now or on the recorded version, welcome. But yeah, leave it wide open for any sort of question. Another thing, and I'll keep rambling until I see questions come through. Which I don't see any. Another thing that I think some people have not fully appreciated or don't realize is, we have cross-chain data, right? This isn't just ETH smart money. It's just that ETH has been really the only chain where anything has been going on since Arbitrum season, but you're starting to see, newer tokens pop up across different chains. This NOLA run to a 1.5 million market cap on Arbitrum. There's some AVAX ones. You can also filter for those in the swap summary where you can filter by chain. So within here, you can click any of these chains, because except we don't have a button for base, but we also most definitely have base. You can actually see base, but you can click any of these and see what's going on, or you can just click remove ETH and LSDs like I've mentioned plenty of times before. But now you'll be able to see tokens that are catching a bid over the last 7 days. But there's EMP, which we've talked about before. There's FriendPet on base, MOZ on ARB. I have no idea what that is. And there's XPet. So just another thing to keep in mind as you are trying to find coins on other chains. ETH gas is a little expensive right now, but if the market keeps heating up, it's going to get a lot worse. But any questions? Nobody? Nothing? I guess I'll just keep going through some other. If you don't have a ton of time to camp the alpha stream, or if you're not even camping the new launch digest, but you want to see the most interesting tokens on this left side, this is filtered by dollar flows, right? But if you want to know the most interesting tokens, things that are like 30 to 50 days old and less are obviously the most interesting. So if you just run token age filters through 30 or less, you kind of see the stuff that maybe is worth paying attention to, like Print, which I think is a newer launch that obviously has not died if it's getting 20K of bids over the last 24 hours. Wrap Points is all over the timeline this morning. Peas has been catching bids, both right as it launched, but also as it got exploited. I think this is like Taupad. I have no idea what it is, but it's been an absolute runner. What else is new coming soon? We're redesigning the entire site to make it a little less ugly and a little more actionable. So this homepage will get condensed into basically you won't need to scroll at all, and it will have a combination of inflows, tokens with the biggest increases in smart money token balance changes, right? So if smart money starts, because again, these are all dollars based here, right? But if you did it by holding quantity base, you might come up with a different insight. On the new homepage, there will be a new launch digest that is way more condensed, and so it will remove a lot of these projects that really aren't that interesting. And then there will also be a slimmed down version of this portfolio summary, which I really enjoy, right on the homepage. So you'll be able to kind of check all of those things right on the homepage, get you up to speed. What else? We're improving the way some of these wallets will come in. So instead of having to hover over it like I am now to see win rate, P&L, average hold time, those things will come through right next to the wallets, which will more quickly get you up to speed as you're watching wallets come through on either the alpha stream or on the token pages. These token pages are getting redesigned to show holdings over time at more frequent intervals than the 1 day interval, the 1 day snapshots that they come through as now. It also will load a lot faster. And there will be a lot more stats on the token page as well. So, this chart plus the token chart will be on the home page. There will be a lot more data around what kind of wallets have been buying or selling. And then also at the forefront of every token page will be a improved version of this holdings table here at the bottom, which will not only show these wallets, it'll show their stats next to them. You'll see they're holding dollars, but you also see changes in holding coin quantity, average entry, their unrealized P&L, so how much are they already up, and it'll all be totaled. And so, like I said, it'll be a much more actionable version of the site. And then the last one is an improved version of this portfolio page that we've been cooking up with some of our customers that are on this stream today, that will make, instead of just this table, a couple buttons and a filter, it'll be a entirely redone, more actionable, lab of tokens that you'll be able to look at things like changes in holding, the volume, what's trending, a lot of stuff. So all of these old things that were part of us just adding a lot of things like this actually, isn't that valuable. So this is going to go away and will get replaced eventually with token holdings across categories. Like that's another thing that might not be in 3.0, but will be coming soon, where we do, there will be easy to understand pages around which token categories are getting bid and have holdings, right? Like you can obviously do it by eye if you, look at 10,000 plus holders and just start running through these, right? You'll see AI is probably number one. BRC20s are in here a lot, and people hold banana because it's the best. But just seeing that from a category view will also make people's lives easier. They're releasing some sort of public API for the users to access the data. We may do that. We're talking with a lot of institutions right now about our enterprise offering, and we're still coming up with what that's going to look like. But if we do an API, it's going to be way more expensive than $60 or $80 a month. What would be your process if you're looking for bigger on-chain caps with a longer term and bigger portfolio allocation? Yeah, so that's where today the portfolio summary is very helpful for that. And then in the upgraded version, which hopefully is coming in the next 3 weeks. You want to watch this holdings data, not the alpha stream. Like, the alpha stream is great because you can see all the live swaps, and especially for newer tokens, you're going to start seeing them come through in here. So it's good for the 24/7 degens. But if you're looking for, will there be Solana? No, not anytime soon. It is too hard to do. But if you're looking for, bigger tokens with bigger liquidity that can hold a little bit longer, the process that I've always talked about is either running 5,000 plus number of holders or 10,000 plus number of smart holders, because this is, you're basically quickly narrowing down to what tokens smart money really likes and are holding a lot of, right? And it's not just dollar based, because sometimes dollar based can get skewed by someone that was super early and then they just hang on and then it bleeds down to zero. We saw that with Joe. But doing it this way, like having 20, 10,000 plus smart money holders, and a lot of them have come up recently, that's kind of interesting, right? And then another way you can take it one step further is start looking at this data, and I think we'll do this in the new version, is looking at these portfolio balances as a percentage of market cap. Because we've found once you see these pop over 2% of market cap, usually there's something about to go on. I think I remember flagging DMind, for example, as having a really big position versus market cap, and it's up since then. But yeah, so you can look at either these that have the top number of 10,000 plus wallets holding, but also you can start just going down the list and look for ones that you haven't heard that much about, like Wrap. Wrap is brand new. DMind doesn't get talked about a ton. Let's see. VRD, kind of interesting. GB is another one. ENQAI, another one. Like a lot of these are relatively interesting, and they're earlier stage. You can obviously filter these by token age as well. But some of these are newer, and so they may still have some room to pump. Unit, which has done decent since its launch, so that's the way I would go about it. And then once you find some you're interested in, you can monitor their changes in, you can look at cumulative swaps over time, which is just a way where we are trying to give you live changes in what holdings would look like until we get the holdings data up to a faster snapshot interval. And for some tokens where there's not insiders that dump it on launch, it's actually a decent barometer of, has smart money been buying or selling, right? Because all this is just swap quantity summed, right? So you had a bunch of buys, sell, and then kind of net selling across the board, but not much. And then if you look at holdings over time, it will actually equate to roughly the same thing. But yeah. So roughly. New launch day, obviously, if snipers come out, but yeah, it's still trending down for a while since. How can I set the notifications for the bot? So one, go to the Discord and look up how to set up your bot. But all you're doing is saying you go to the ChainEdge bot, which is at ChainEdge bot. Oh, you might not even be able to see it on my screen. Run start. It will ask you for your user ID, which is on my wallet page, which is up here in the top right. Paste that in and then start setting up alerts. So to set up that new launch alert, you just go into the alpha stream. Pick however you want to cut your filter. So for the new launches, you can do 0 to 2 hours token age. I do like 100,000 P&L, 222 minimum buy, trying to equate it to 0.1 ETH. And then 2 wallets. And then that's the way I run it. So, and then, you'll see Landex show up there because that's the way that filter is running, and that's why it came through. And so as soon as you click create alert, it will get saved into the my alerts, my wallets page. So you'll see that alert somewhere right in here. Oh yeah. No, this is whatever. Yeah, so your alerts will be shown here. You can also set up the same kind of alerts for wallets if you want to. And they will get sent to your Telegram. Any plans for implementing systematic trading strategies? 100%. So that's next year. We will add a lot more stuff around being able to back test. And also, we'll be doing kind of the build your own bot sandbox style setup next year, relatively early next year, where you can start adding a bunch of different parameters. It's almost like that, like a real version of that token that launched that everyone's excited about last night, Neural. It will basically be, hey, so if, a basic version, right, is anytime a token's less than 2 hours old and I see, this many wallets, and they're not snipers with XPNL, buy this token, I want to buy it too. And I want to buy an ETH or something, right? And then boom, it'll fire off automatically. And then you can make it quite complex where, okay, I bought an ETH, but it's down 50%. At down 50, I want to sell. Or, hey, it went up 2x, I want to cut 50% and let the rest ride, etc. There's a lot of things we can do on that front. So, yeah, that's all coming next year. The trading infrastructure is set up, ready to go. We'll probably be rolling out a small beta group hopefully in the next week or so, for people to try out the trading. The trading UI won't be perfect because it'll still be in this old version of the site, but in the newer version of the site, the trading panel, managing positions, etc., will be very good. I've been testing the trades by hand, and they are extremely fast. A lot of them with just a little bit extra gas. I'm getting swaps done in 3 seconds or so, 4 seconds. And it'll come with all the things where if you've used all the other bots, the anti-MEV private transactions, etc. You can, if you see a new launch, it will get you into the token, and you can even, have your slippage set to 100. It doesn't matter. It's not like you're going to get MEV attacked to death. So these less known coins with a lot of smart money holding 5K bags is a good signal they might pump in the long term. 100%. All of the tokens that have made it to the top of this have at one point not been up here. So you can just click through these. You can go all the way through and just start building a list. And there's some of these where it's like, it's either so well known, it probably doesn't pump, like maybe Pendle. Or there's other ones that are like holdovers where like Real Smurf Cat. Like if you read my newsletter post yesterday, like Real Smurf Cat to me is something that like attention is probably already peaked on it, so probably not that interesting. Versus something like Wrap, if it's real, it's obviously going to run a lot harder. Pepe, same thing, probably already peaked. But maybe something like Hyper hasn't, even though they just got exploited. Right, but if you go through these and you start running token age filters on them, you'll come up with a list of like GB has always been kind of in the middle of this list, right? Still a lot of smart money holding, but never made it to the top just yet. RWA project, and I mean, it's probably up. Yeah, I mean, it's doubled in the past week, up even more from 10 days ago. So yeah, if they're like, the rule of thumb I always use is if there's that many wallets holding it, there's something going on giving these people confidence to hold on. Versus some of the swaps, they, especially in the alpha stream, people swap around very quickly. And so if you see it in here, they may hold it, but you have to watch the holdings data as well. And now that we've perfected the holdings data, we're kind of reorienting parts of the site to get you to focus on and make it more kind of smack you in the face that, the holdings data is where, outside of new launch land, right? It's almost like two different views, right? Like the alpha stream's really good for new launches because you'll see, if you look at it for like 24-hour-old tokens or less, you'll get a sense of what's going on, who's buying what, and then you can run filters on P&L, etc. But for anything past that stage, I really think the holdings data is way more helpful. Yeah, like I kind of have a theory that if you just had a portfolio equal weight of the top 10 and every day you changed it based on if any of these leave the top 10 or not, but they're all equal, you'd probably do fine. Because this top 10 list has not changed much in the past 2 weeks. And I mean, other than this turkey going straight down, OLOS has been up only. I think Vault has done pretty well. MND is basically up only. Banana has been good. Bitcoin's probably the outlier here, but I think it's been doing okay. AGRS up only. RSC up only. Aegis pretty good. BSSB up only. So... But yes, that was a long-winded way of saying, the 5,000 or 10,000 and up, filtered by wallets that meet that criteria, is a very good way to go about using our data in a less degen way. How do you manage the universe of smart wallets? So none of it is by hand, which makes it very easy. So every week we are running queries and running the data on wallets that have generated the most P&L. And that goes through our filters of, for a wallet to be within chain edge and then not lose its status over a week, it has to have 50K of P&L, X number of wins over a certain size. Their biggest win cannot be a certain percentage of their total P&L, so that removes one-hit wonders. If they have X number of dollar losers versus dollar winners, they also don't make it in. So it goes through a lot of different filters before it ever makes it into the site. And then for wallets that do make it in every week, if their P&L goes negative or they don't meet those filters that already got them in, they get kicked out. But it's all automatic, algorithmic every week. It is, shedding the bad wallets, adding the new wallets, and does it all over again. And that is probably the single coolest thing about the site and our data is it is never stagnant. Now, the one thing you don't get with that is, these wallets aren't all getting labeled on who they actually are, right? Like, 'cause some of these wallets are actually known and some of them they aren't. But to me, I don't care, right? Because not only are you getting algorithmically updated smart money every single week, but then it's getting split between the three, these filters are all stagnant, but they get split into three different categories that also help you, right? So there's snipers, which means all of their P&L comes from buying tokens in the first 20 minutes. So, and you'll see that when they show up in the alpha stream, right? They're buying things relatively early. The Rocket, which again, the old name is New Launch Pro. The new name, once everything is uniform, is just Early Mover. Their P&L comes from buying tokens 2 hours to 24 hours old. And then Gem Spotters, their P&L comes from 1 day old or more. And you can actually do this process for yourself on any of these wallets where you can click explain P&L. You can see, this must be an actually pretty new wallet. They haven't traded a lot of tokens, but you can see the majority of their P&L comes from 0 to 2 days. This doesn't have the full breakdown, but you can do this for, actually have a pretty good win rate too. But yeah, look, you can see their P&L here. They did well on Fumo, Ordibot, couple of losers, but yeah, that's the process. So none of it is by hand. And the purpose of it done that way is that you don't have to. I for a long time had a list of wallets. I tracked the wallets, and I never felt like I was really doing that well because wallets that were smart at one period weren't as good at in another period. And so instead of like what some people try to do is they go to this leaderboard and they'll take these wallets and they'll set up alerts on them. It's like that could work, but instead of doing that, you don't have to do that at all. The entire site is basically auto giving you the best wallets at any given moment for, degen tokens or any of real DEX token, and streaming their activity. So you don't need to go and just take, this guy has the highest 6-month P&L because we've lapped Pepe, but all he does is just ape new shit 24/7, right? Like if I look at his swap history, he's just aping garbage, but he's first. Right? That's not a good, amazing wallet. It's a good signal for things that are new, but the P&L's high because he's always early, which is fine. Right? You can see there's a bunch of just random shit that he buys, but things I haven't heard of. Mostly garbage, but do you still hold RDPX? No. Thank the Lord Almighty. If you read my newsletter yesterday, it all comes from, once I've built this, I realize what works and what doesn't. And if you're bag holding something and it starts losing momentum, especially in today's market, it's kind of done, right? Like RDPX had its attention peak when they launched the V2 white paper. It was either December or January of 2022, and the token ran from 15 to 400. That's it. It's done. That's the peak. The promise of what they were going to do was way stronger than anything. They didn't do anything for 2 years after that, but then once they actually launched it, wasn't as Ponzi-esque as they thought, and so no. And so building this and seeing how these people that are good traders trade, which is either being early or riding things with momentum and then dipping, or things that are so big that have done well. People will buy dips in Rollbit and do fine. Sometimes people will buy dips in Bitcoin and do fine, but most of the time you need to be buying the dip on something that is still generally going up, right? You could Mubi had dips on its way to whatever it's at now, 150 million or 220 million. Right, there's a dip right here, right? It dipped in here, but overall, the thing's a fucking rocket ship. That's what you're looking for, not the good old RDPX straight down. Is there data for average holding period? So sell signals, usually you'll see it's a little bit harder because even holdings over time for Mubi have been trending down, but it's funny, you can actually see people chasing it now, which is not, I doubt it's going to work out well for them. But it's funny, we had so many wallets, our wallets tend to skew very early. So if I run the holdings over time for Mubi, it's going to be straight down. And sometimes this is bearish, but obviously these people that sold between here and here regret it, and the people that sold between here and here regret it. So it's tough. I tend to use our tool a lot more on the buy signal side. If something's losing And obviously movies run so much, you always have to take that in consideration with these holdings over time, right? Because at 200 million market cap, you know, maybe it can run to $1 billion. I don't know. But for the people that were in this early, even getting out when they did over this any time in this period was a win. So in the context of a token that goes straight up, you'll probably see holdings over time going down. So it's tough. So you almost have to come up with your own sell signal. Now for things that haven't really taken off and they've kind of been flat to down-ish, and you see the same pattern, it's usually pretty bearish. So that's the way I would look for sell signal. So for instance, let's say I see a token that's relatively new pop up. Like let's try, how do I execute my swaps? I use the Chain Edge site now that I have it. I don't use aggregators though. If I'm on the go, I'll just use a Telegram bot. But we're building all of these, ourselves. But I feel like aggregators used to be fine, but now they're even slower. If you still want to use one of those things, like I feel like using Uniswap is fine. You can use one of the trading terminals like Thunder or Shuriken. If you have a Chain Edge subscription, the next month you'll just be able to buy it within here, which will be super nice. Right, so like on a page like this, you see a token, you see mined in a dip, you could just click buy 0.1 ETH, buy an ETH, etc. And then eventually we'll have limit orders and stop losses, take profit targets, etc. So, what do you recommend for normie? If you're trading from your computer and you don't want to deal with, you don't have to deal with the trading terminal stuff if you don't want to. If you're okay, if you're not buying brand new launches where speed is extremely important, like you can still use Uniswap. It is not against, like most of the people that are telling you that's stupid are trying to shill you a ref link to go get you to, drum up volume on one of their things to go and make money. Like they're just trying to make money off you. Like you can use Uniswap. It's not the end of the world. But for newer stuff, you probably are better off using, well, one, ours is going to be really easy to use. So I have to plug that selfishly. But something like Shuriken maybe also works. Or if you just like it within Telegram, if you're using our Telegram alerts or somebody else's, you can also just use Maestro. It's probably the best. It's a little complicated to set up, but if you get your filters set up, it's relatively easy. When Chain Edge token, never. Not unless we're in a market where if I can do a Binance Launchpad at 500 million FDV and then hedge it all out with perps on Binance, and so my bags are packed, then maybe, but probably not, because we've seen it with Unibot. You see it with a lot of these other tools that have a token. Having a token, one, it takes a lot of resources for people to, you have to market and shill it. Two, if your token loses steam, you may have a bunch of bag holders where you actually have a good product, but let's say Chain Edge token launched and now it just went straight down 90% because I didn't have the resources or time to market it. Are you still going to use Chain Edge if you lost, a bunch of money on our token? And just that negative feeling of, the token's straight down, the product must be bad. And that's like a thing that I do not want to deal with. I'd rather do live streams every week with you guys, hang out in the Discord, keep building a product that people like to use and helps them make money. It makes everyone's life easier. Then we don't have to do any stupid FOMO marketing. You as a user come in, it's a relatively more professional experience. And it's just well understood. It's like, I just want you to make money. There's no token It's like it's just a product. The product gets better every day, and that is that. So that's the answer. And it ends up coming up probably every stream, one chain edge token. So that's the answer. It's like I'd much rather have a product that everyone loves than a token, right? Like I'd rather be Maestro than anything else, right? Like as much as Maestro gets clowned on, they make like yesterday was a pretty hot day. They probably made like $140,000 yesterday, right? No token, no FOMO marketing. They don't need influencers anymore. It's like, that's right. You want to be Maestro. You don't want to be anything else. And does Maestro have its faults? Sure, but it's the most trusted. It has, 5,000 to 6,000 daily users. If they had a token, I'd probably ape it, but they don't need it. So, what else? Any questions? Let's see. If you haven't noticed, and you actually can't see it because my stream is cutting off the right side because I'm on my giant screen. But on the right side of these token pages, there's links to the token socials. There's also stuff about the buy, sell, tax, honeypot, any other kind of potential contract issues you may run into. Who's your biggest competitor? Nansen. Really. But outside of that, there's a couple smaller ones. But with, a user number that is, going to be 1,000 by today or tomorrow, I think we're closer to Nansen than we are to anything that's below us. But then once we launch trading, right, we kind of compete with Unibot, Maestro, Shuriken, Thunder, but also we don't because, it's not going to be free. Like you still have to come in, pay for the data. You get to be part of the community and you'll have a kick-ass trading experience. So kind of tough to say. But I also don't really worry about it. I just want you guys... The way I frame it is between the streams, the daily summaries, the weekly research, between the data, my newsletter that helps you, like if I make you money, you'll just stick around with us anyway. Right? Because we're all here in crypto to make money, and between trying to spoon feed it through the daily summaries, between trying to constantly make this product better, it's like if I make you money, like you're not going to leave because $600 a year or $800 a year, like you should be able to make that, in one trade to pay for it. But that's kind of the way I focus on it more than anything, right? Because like I could shill this aggressively and people will sign up and then they're going to churn off because it's a B2C product. And I'd much rather have a smaller user base of people that actually stick around, use the product, like the product. They like what we're doing. They like the community and the Discord, and they're making money and they're sticky and they stay as a customer. And that's all I want, because this is a business. This isn't some token ref link Ponzi. It's like I have spent a considerable amount of time and money to build this, and now I want people to use it effectively and make it easier to use so that people make money and they stay as customers. So that's the answer. What else? Somebody asked it today, but we're going to make it a lot easier to see. But in the token page, if you click 30 days, you can actually see, and these are sorted by, I think, dollars. I'll be able to tell once I hover over one of these, but I think it's dollars. No, it's by quantity. So you'll exit criteria when deciding to losing trade. I'll ask myself, one, if attention peaked for this. Or two, no one seems to... There's like 3 questions. Has attention peaked for this? If so, probably cut it. I should have done that with Joe. I lost money on Joe. 2 is like, is the thing that they're building actually legit, or is it kind of like B or C tier? And if the token's not working and it's B or C tier, just cut it. Get out. If it's like a real legit team, they're just not getting a lot of attention on their stuff yet, etc. Like Banana. When Banana launched, that token did shitty. Everyone clowned on them, all this, but the product was A tier. You know, don't sell then. I think I did that too. You know, you want to ride along. So yeah, I don't know. I kind of go through those. What percent of your crypto is allocated to aping based on chain age data? 100. Like I the number one user probably. I can't use anything else. Like we had one day probably 2 or 3 months ago where the site was down and I was lost. I'm like, well, what do I buy? It's like, I have no idea. But yeah, I mean, I don't, because I trade back into either ETH or stables, but you know, that's it. So I only trade using chainage data. Because I mean, it can give you everything you want, right? It's not just new launches, which is nice because the new launch people, they just sit on the alpha stream. The alpha stream has almost 0 latency now. So as a new swap comes up, it just pops in. So they like it. For people looking for longer term bags, you can use the portfolio summary. You can use the swap summary. The new versions of both of those will be more helpful. You can also just watch the daily research because tokens that get talked about in here, you know, they start popping up multiple days in a row and they're on the uptrend, it's usually pretty good. Like if I control F for Mubi, I mean, we were talking about Mubi. Yeah, a lot of Mubi discussion from me on November 14th. Let's see. More Mubi on the 16th. A lot of Mubi on the 19th, on the 22nd, and you know, I mean, I don't know how it's done since then, but probably pretty good. We can check. Yeah, I mean, it's up 10x from most of those dates, except for obviously those early ones. It was at 0.008. So that's a whatever. I think that's a 30x. Pretty good. What else? I mean, you can see this wall. You know, another thing, I don't think people really use it that much, but top P&L wallets on the token pages, you can see who of our traders has done well. There's obviously people in crypto that have made more money than this, but again, they haven't hit our filters, right? So they could have been a fresh wallet that bought Mubi, or Mubi's their only winner. They don't make it into our data. Versus someone like Spider. Spider made like this amount on Bitcoin very early, like Harry Potter Bitcoin. If you ain't first, you're last. It's been a very good wallet. I really like to follow them. They were early on GEC and MND. They also did pretty well on TERT recently. So that's another thing I've been finding myself doing is if there's a wallet, I see it a lot on the tokens that have done well. Sometimes I will give them a little special place in my heart and I'll put wallet alerts on them in our Telegram and just to see what they're aping as well. But most times they're going to just show up in your alerts anyway, like in here. Oh, this Molly AI. Molly AI is an example of a new launch where there was no info and I faded it and it was a 34K FTV and I think it's probably going to be like, yeah, 731 now. Pain. And that's what I was saying too, is like sometimes you just have to hold your nose and buy, especially if you see smart money continue to buy it, because there are people in this space that have better information than you. I saw that with MND, and I bought because I just kind of held my nose and said, I don't think it's a scam. And so, you'll see the alert pop up, Molly AI. There was no information at this time, at 9:28 yesterday. And obviously it's been a runner, right? You could have got in at a 40K market cap and been almost up 20x on decent liquidity. Anyone trouble logging in from mobile? You could send us an email if you want. We can try to see what's going on. I think eventually what we'll do is we'll just, because the site isn't really mobile optimized, but I think once it is, we could almost make it like a PWA, like Friendtech. So you'll be able to just, press a button and you've got Chain Edge right on your phone. But I don't think much of it is super optimized for mobile, though I do think the new version of the site will be better for mobile. But yeah, you can send us an email and we'll try to see what's going on. Any other questions? If not, we can wrap it up relatively soon. I think one other feature we'll eventually have is the ability to drill down on these Telegram alerts a little further. So, the two biggest ones, well, I guess there's three that I really want to have is 1, liquidity, 2, wallet type, which is obviously easy to do, to remove basically snipers. Like, snipers are good to tell you, like, our snipers are obviously very profitable, but like they ape everything. So, but it's always a good signal that like a token is alive, and it's not, like the extremely low effort ones that you'd see in like a new contract scanner. But it would be nice to be able to filter by liquidity. Let's say you just wanted rockets, which are my favorite wallet label currently. And then the third one would be average hold time, because you'll actually see the rockets some of them have a quite long time. Some of these actually have quite long hold periods. Like if you ain't first, your last actually has like an average hold time of like 12 days or something, right? Which in the context of like a normal investment world is still pretty low. I mean, but in crypto, like that's a pretty long time, 11 days. Versus, obviously the snipers, it's like not even a day. Sometimes it's a couple hours. So, any feature that you can't find anywhere else except in Chain Edge? Like something that. Wait. Any feature that you can't find? You really can't do any of these things that I'm talking about anywhere else, to be honest. Like nowhere else has a auto-updating list of smart money that you can manipulate by P&L, etc., token age, or by where you can get accurate holding data and manipulate it by token age, whatever. But if your question is things that I use that aren't Chain Edge, I use Perb a lot. because there's some things that Perv does that we just don't have yet, but it's not that helpful. Maybe one that's actually pretty good is watching Parsec put out this really good like token explorer almost, and that is a good place where, let's say you want to see what the top 20 holders of a token have done, because like that's another thing sometimes I'll look for, like I look for it on GEC sometimes, is what has happened with the top 10 holders, right? Are they dumping? Is that what's pressuring it? Or they haven't dumped, and that's also notable. But that's probably it. If there's no other questions, we'll wrap it up there. We'll probably do one more before the year's over, and then hopefully one of the first ones of next year will be introducing the new and improved ChainEdge 3.0, which I think is going to be significantly better than the current site. Will be easier to use, and you'll be getting more signals. And obviously all this stuff you're not really going to be able to get anywhere else, but all it's really doing in a nutshell is taking all of our awesome data and just making it easier to find token ideas, because all of the data is good. It's just like, the site is not as clean as it needs to be. It's not as fluid as it needs to be. The token pages are not as actionable as they need to be, and all of those things are rectified. But all right, doesn't look like there's any other questions, so we'll wrap it up there. If you are a sub and you do have questions, you can hit me up in the Discord, or if you have just general questions, you can always reach out to me on Twitter. You can just shoot me a DM. But thank you guys for joining. Have a great weekend and great holiday season.